The LA Clippers aren't just good. At this very moment, they are an absolute juggernaut.
Somebody needs to say it, so I'm going to say it. The Clippers appear to be the #1 threat to the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference.
Oh, he put it in! The shot of the night!
The team to me that has been most impressive has been the Los Angeles Clippers.
So that begs the question, Brian Windhorst, who is the single most important player in the Western Conference?
It's Kawhi.
On Pritchard. Spins away! Oh, my goodness! Look out below!
Over the last 27 games that the Clippers have played with Kawhi Leonard in the lineup, they are 24-3 with the #1 ranked offense, the #4 ranked defense, and the best net rating in the NBA. Or to put it in other words, a winning percentage of 89%, which is the same percentage as the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. Is it possible people are sleeping on a potential all-time great team? I mean, any team that has a healthy Kawhi Leonard has a chance to win an NBA championship because the guy is just unbelievable. But you pair that with James Harden, Paul George, and seriously good depth, or you get a team that seemingly can't lose. Just look at their recent game against a red-hot Atlanta team. Despite the Hawks shooting 54% from the field, 51% from three, and putting up 144 points, the Clippers still had too much offense for them. And the advantages of having three superstars is that one of them is bound to do something like this late in the game.
Oh, he put it in! The shot of the night!
And I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to stop these guys, because in the first quarter alone, they hit 6 threes, and it was Harden, PG, Kawhi, Harden, Kawhi that hit the threes in that order. Just look here as Plumlee sets the screen for PG. Okongwu drops, and PG immediately punishes him. 30 seconds later, PG is bringing the ball up in transition. He kicks it to Harden, who collapses the defense before kicking it to Kawhi, who knocks down the three. I mean, I don't need to tell you how impossible it is to defend a possession with those three sharing the ball. And just for good measure, when they aren't sharing the ball, any one of these three can just do this.
Harden fires again and hits.
But you know what's crazy? Despite the Clips and Kawhi being this good, Kawhi wasn't even voted an all-star starter. Just to understand how laughable this is, here are the numbers of LeBron James, and here are the numbers of Kawhi Leonard this season. Winning, impact, defense, efficiency, whatever way you look at it, Kawhi has clearly been the best wing in not just the Western Conference, in the entire league this season, and that should have been recognized in the All-Star voting, because his impact goes so far beyond just his ability to score the ball. He's still one of the very best defenders in the NBA. Just look at him on this play. Steph brings the ball up the floor. He gives it up to CP3, and Looney sets a screen. Just look at the separation created off that movement, yet somehow Kawhi has the ability to get around the Looney screen and block the Curry jump shot. And this is such an impressive part of Kawhi's defensive game. It's his ability to navigate screens and contest jump shots. It's just rare to see an offensive superstar work just as hard navigating screens and contesting shooters as he would getting his own points or reaching in for a steal. Just look at him against Jaylen Brown. Horford sets the screen. Kawhi does a great job getting around it before the initial hand in his face and the second contest as he rises up. We can also talk about his switchability. He starts this play by guarding Drew. He then switches onto Tatum, and look at his active hands to disrupt Tatum on the way up before Tatum blows the putback and the Clippers fight for the board. Or look at his genius on this play. Bam and Jimmy run their two-man game. Even with Bam setting the screen, Kawhi reaches around with his left to poke the ball out of Jimmy's hands before racing down the other end for the dunk. That's Jimmy Butler, and he had absolutely zero clue what had just happened. He knew what happened on this play, however, where he beat Pow off the dribble before Kawhi just erased his shot and then contested well on the next miss. And the scariest part about this is if you ask Kawhi, the Clippers aren't even close to where they need to be. It's between our ears. Tonight we were terrible on our defensive game. I feel like we've been running our games off of talent. Even our offensive game, it's a lot of slow pace and it starts with our defense. I feel like these last few games have been based on talent, and we need to be focused on execution. Well, over the last couple of games, we saw both sides of the coin from the Clippers. Against the Hawks, they simply just outgunned them. but the game prior against the Heat, they absolutely put the clamps on Miami, holding them to 95 points. And it always helps when you have not one, but two elite wing defenders. Just look at PG on this play against Harquez Jr. Bam comes to set the screen. Plumlee steps up to stunted Harquez, which allows PG to get back in the picture, and somehow he blocks his shot from in front of him before then just snatching the ball out of his hands. And I think the only reason we aren't looking at this big three as one of the all-time great big threes is because of two things. People have reservations about the Clippers as a franchise, and all three of these guys have been unselfish. Yes, instead of combining for 85 points a night like they could, you were getting the most efficient 65 to 70 points you will ever see from three players. I mean, just look at their numbers across the board. It's absolutely absurd the efficiency at which they're going at. But beyond the top end talent, I think the biggest X factor for the Clippers compared to the likes of Denver is their depth. And just like in the starting lineup, there are three guys in particular who make their bench so good: Russell Westbrook, Norman Powell, and Daniel Tice. And let's start with Russ, because it's undeniable that he changes the tempo of games when he checks in, because he can still do things like this.
Westbrook swivels down the lane, back to Leonard who lays it in. Oh my! Put it in the highlight reel right now.
And the reason Russ is still contributing at a high level for the Clips is because he's doing what he does best, which is attack the rim, defend with intensity, and set up his teammates. Just look at him on this play bring the ball up in transition, and in typical Westbrook fashion, he freezes the defender out with a change of pace before getting to the rim in a flash. I mean, just look at Nwora on the bench. He was taken aback by how quickly Russ got to the rim despite his age. And whilst we don't see Russ dunk very often anymore, that same burst of speed is still there. Just look at him size up Michael Porter Jr. before dashing to the rim. And it's not just using his speed to create for himself, but you now have an elite playmaker on the floor at all times. This is a play I personally love from Russ, where he sets the screen, Kawhi wraps the pass around him, and look at Russ on the short roll throw a perfect dime to Plumlee, who finishes acrobatically. That's the kind of play that you watch and just question how damn good this team can be. He's also made plays like this when Harden is being trapped with the ball and he gets to the middle of the floor before dropping it off to Zubac for the two. These might not be the best numbers Russ has put up in recent years, but there's no doubt his impact off the bench is crucial to the team, and he recognizes that. It's my job. My energy is a huge part of my game, and what I can bring to the team every night when we have slow starts, which is going to happen in an 82-game season. And Russ talked about an 82-game season, but I'm thinking ahead to the NBA playoffs. And what have the last two champions had in common? They've had a high-energy, high-productivity guy off the bench in Jordan Poole and Bruce Brown. You're telling me Russell Westbrook doesn't have the potential to make that same kind of impact in this year's playoffs? Just look at last year's playoffs, where he not only filled up the box score, but was a menace defensively.
On the brink here in game one, Booker taking on Westbrook, and a block by Westbrook, and he throws it off of Booker!
And if it's not Westbrook one night, it's Norman Powell, who can go off for 20 on any given night. The Clippers are stacked, and I think people need to realize just how damn good this team is. Now, if you did make it all the way to the end of the video and you want to see more content like this, a like would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel for more. Have a great day.